Good morning, everyone. We're moving on toward Christmas. On Christmas Eve day, which is day after tomorrow, we'll do a little Christmas message. But until then, we'll continue to work with what we're working with, which is relating, loving, blessing, communicating with our dear departed ones. I know that's a bit of a cliche phrase, but it's a rather sweet one, isn't it? Our dear departed friends. It's amazing to me when I look at long cycles of historical pictures of Ananda. It's been 50 years, but there's a lot of people now on the other side. We keep a community in both places. If we were going to write some of those amusing New Age resumes, like I see people write, we should put, that we have a community in Assisi, and we have a community in Portland, and we have one in Hiranyaloka, and we have one. We could get the name of other astral planets, because I'm sure our family has found itself on every level of dimension. Swami writes in The Path about the power of spiritual family and how deep the bonds are. So I don't think a mere issue like time and space and life and death would be sufficient to break those bonds. So let's pray together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, Beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, Beloved Master Paramahansa Yogananda, Saints of all religions, dearest friend Swami Kriyananda, humbly we bow to all. Inspire us that we may feel your presence, that everything we do may be a conscious expression of our awareness of your joy and your love within. Help us to be your instruments, that whatever flows into us in blessing also flows through us to bless all those we meet. Om. Peace. Amen. So this is the prayer, as I'm just introducing in case those of you who haven't been following along, that we call the Astral Ascension. Sometimes we call it the Astral Ascension ceremony, but it's a prayer for our loved ones, addressing them as friend, talking about our eternal relationship with them, but also encouraging them to let go of this world, and with the assurance that that will be, that we won't be disappointed if they do that. I realize in this, I have mentioned to some of you, I think in the context of this, my mother had Parkinson's for 15 years, and one of the ways Parkinson's takes the life of a person eventually is that whatever the aberration is, it goes to the brain, and the brain starts having seizures. So my mother had a lot of struggles just maintaining her mobility, maintaining her life for those 15 years, although she herself said, quote, "This has been the making of me," because she developed willpower and determination and a transcendence of petty inconveniences that she really didn't have when it started. I didn't want to encourage that thought too much. I just admired her for making it. But I was very, very impressed that she was able to do that. But it went to her brain, and it went to her brain suddenly. She had 2 seizures. And it was just in a matter of a few weeks. And it had been a long saga. And this was not a good thing. And I deeply and powerfully prayed to the masters. In fact, I told them, I've done a lot for you guys, and I think you owe me a favor. And the favor I'm asking is, you have to take this woman out of her body. You can't really put her through this. These brain seizures, I just said, we're not going to do this. And I was going to Europe to see Swami, and I visited her on a Monday. I visited her on a Sunday. I flew on a Monday. Early Tuesday morning, my sister phoned me and said, Mom has died. I said, what? And no, I didn't. She said, Mom has died. I said, good for her. I just like, good for her. The body was useless. It was time to go. And I felt that the masters had blessed her by taking her out. But what I actually said was, she said, "Mom has died." I said, "Good for her." And my sister fortunately understood that I meant good. She just put it down and walked away from it. That was the thing to do. Um, but then I asked Swamiji, what was my responsibility now? And the question was, if I no longer pray for her, will she know? Meaning, excuse me, not if I don't pray for her. If I no longer actively take responsibility for her well-being, which is what I'd been doing for years, will she know, and will she have her feelings hurt? Because I wanted to know what's appropriate. No, he said, you can let her go. And I think I said this very recently. Um, at her level of consciousness, she'll have a vague sense of this world, but she won't know the details. I did remember I told you all of this when I was talking about the dreams. Now, what was the point of all of this? The point of all of this is that the relationships can be very deep, but they don't have to continue in that form forever. We have so many friends in the astral world that we don't even remember, because we can't keep it all in our heads. It's too much. We take care of what's in front of us, and then when God gives us the next thing, we enter into that with the same zeal. So now we're saying, now we are instructing the departed one. And we just said, see your physical form as a discarded garment. Clothed you now are in garments of radiant light. We've urged them to burn all their limitations, burn their attachments, burn their desires. So now we say, oh, free soul. And isn't that a wonderful affirmation? Oh, free soul. Swami used to address us as great souls. That was just how he would call us. Good morning, great souls, he would say. Not a big hoopla about it, no big sort of revelation about our past and our great future. No, it was just, hello, great souls, because that's really who we are. So we address this departed person because now it's also an affirmation. Oh, free soul. Now think of it, you've just lived your life. Maybe you've been taking care of your children. Maybe you've been struggling with your body like my mother. Maybe you're heartbroken about some disappointment that you've had to deal with. Whatever it might be. Now we say, oh, free soul. And then the soul itself can say, yeah, I guess I am. I guess it's done. It's all over now. I don't really have to struggle with it anymore. I've come off the stage. It's just like that. You're on the stage. You're playing this part. You're so intensely involved. But then the curtain comes down and you walk off the stage. Oh yeah, I can take my makeup off. I can discard my costume. I can say, okay, what's next? Oh, free soul. And now we're advising. See your past actions as scenes in a vast unfolding tapestry. Just like, oh, there's your whole life. It's just you wove the whole thing. A vast unfolding tapestry. And then it says, feast not your gaze wistfully on episodes already finished, but look ahead. So isn't that what we do? We look back or we look ahead. A mother who was cleaning out her closets, her attic, told me, she said that there were all these children's books that she still had, and she never read them or looked at them anymore. But each one represented a period of time in relationship to her children. And there was so much sweetness and love in the memories of reading those books. There she was holding on to the book. She couldn't get rid of the books. That's exactly what we don't want to do. We've loved the children. We've had a wonderful experience, but we don't want to look wistfully at episodes already finished. I mean, what will that do? You see, in other contexts, in the course of these discussions, I've talked about the subconscious mind is the repository of everything that we've already done. And the way it influences us is it just keeps trying to persuade us to stay where we were, to relive what we already know, to hunker down into the pleasant familiar, or at least the familiar. Sometimes it's miserable, but we still prefer it because it's familiar. So when we leave our bodies, when the whole incarnation is finished, the last thing we want to be doing is looking wistfully at episodes past. Oh, that was so wonderful when my children were small. I want small children on my lap so I can read books to them again. Well, in fact, you may have the karma to reincarnate and raise another whole passel of small children and read them those wonderful books and have a lovely time doing it. It may be the right thing, but you don't want to do it because you can't let it go, because you're not able to live in the present and the future, but just want to cling to the past. So see the scenes of your life as a vast unfolding tapestry. And partly you see also that word tapestry, every thread is related. You have the warp and the woof, and the whole picture depends on all those threads coming together. They weave together. Every episode was necessary, but it's necessary for forming and finishing a picture so the tapestry can continue. So feast not your gaze wistfully on episodes already finished, but look ahead. Just as this developed into something really beautiful or at least interesting, or whatever it is, it formed itself into a certain picture. So the picture continues. It didn't end with death. This is why it's a vast unfolding tapestry. It's unfolding, it hasn't finished. It's being woven and opened up right in front of us. Why would we just want to sit back here when the future is where it's happening? But look ahead. New adventures await you. Fresh, joyous victories as you advance toward perfect freedom. Now, the entire premise of the spiritual path is that we're actually going somewhere. And that somewhere that we're going is not where we are, and it's someplace that's more desirable than where we are. And again, as I was saying yesterday, that doesn't mean the present is ugly. It just means that the present is just a tiny slice of the possible. And that whatever we enjoy in the past and the present is just a tiny slice of the potential for actually limitless freedom and joy when we arrive, when we achieve, when we realize what's coming to us. Fresh, joyous victories await you as you advance toward perfect freedom. See, we're trying to really communicate to the departed soul, okay, this incarnation is over, it's been fine. You can see that all of that has happened, but don't cling. Look this way, realize whatever beauty is behind you, more beauty awaits you. Perfect freedom. And then we come back to ourselves and our relationships. So now we've given the departed soul the courage, the free soul to go forward in fresh, joyous victories. But it would be natural. Think of it as your child going to college or going to Europe to go to college, farther away. They're so excited. They've got all their hand luggage. They're all there. They're walking in. And then all of a sudden they remember, but I'm leaving my mother, my father, my brothers, my sisters, my puppy, my kitten, my room. And so you're just at the gate, about to go through, and you look back like that. How many times, you're traveling, you look back just one more time, and there's that pull. So we've moved it like that. But then Swami says, and what of us, friend, who love you and would be remembered by you? Swami, you see, he's so realistic. He elevates it to poetry, so that it's not just somebody wailing in the corner, what about me, what about me? But he understands that feeling, and he just raises it to an elegant divine dimension. But what of us, and what of us, friend, who love you and would be remembered by you? So it's so human. It's not like, well, we'll just be detached. This is the end, we're just going. I'm not even going to look back and wave. He said, that's not how we're really made. What about us? Of course we want to be remembered by you. Doesn't my mother remember me? I miss her so much. And that's what people say all the time. I'm not speaking for myself in that. My relationship was more impersonal with my mother. But that's what people say. What about my spouse? We lived 50 years together. Doesn't he remember me? So then Swami is instructing. He's instructing us, and he's instructing the departed person. We are instructing the departed person because they will feel guilty, among other things. I mean, we talk about the grief from this side, there's also a lot of guilt from that side, can be a lot of guilt from that side, which can be reinforced or released depending on how we act on this side. How dare you leave me? You know, what, you shouldn't have left me like this. You know I needed you. I mean, people do these things. And you can do that in a fit of anger, but then you have to go past it. What about me who would be remembered by you? And then we say, behold us as threads of light in the tapestry of your life. Just start like that. So there's the tapestry that we're looking at. And what is it that really animates it? It's all those threads of loving relationships, isn't it? That's what really holds our heart. And most of the time, whatever we've reached, of course, people's lives can be very out of balance, but let's assume that we have something. That most of the time what you've achieved, what made it wonderful is that others enjoyed it. Whether you built a beautiful building and then hundreds of people were able to utilize what you built, whether you raised a family and your baby boy who became some big hulking NFL player, but it was love. Behold us as threads of light in the tapestry of your life, threads which, through the magnet of soul friendship, will appear ever and again, woven with increasing beauty, as our hearts expand together in God's love. So now Swami is talking both to the departed and to the people on this side. What is the nature of this relationship? We called it father, mother, sister, brother, whatever we might have called it. What is it really? And here's what Swami is saying, we're threads of light. We're threads of light that we're all just moving. I had that very strong feeling once with some close friends of mine. It actually happened when I was literally looking up at the stars. But then I realized that we were all little, I guess it doesn't sound very original now when I'm going to say it. It's funny how when an experience is meaningful to you, even if the words sound ordinary, the words aren't ordinary. But I saw all these little stars twinkling in the heavens, and some of them were closer together, some of them were farther apart. And I just saw all of my Ananda brothers and sisters. We were literally all just these little rays of light that had clustered in one corner of the heavens. There's bazillions of lights and of stars. They're spread all over the place, but there's these little star clusters. And I saw us as a little star cluster, everybody just doing their little thing, pulsing their little light out. And sometimes stars would be closer together for a time, and then something would happen and they would move apart. But it was the friendship that was holding us together, not the form. Not we're here doing this, we live in this town, we share a house, we've had a family together, whatever it might be. It was the pulsing of light that was making us one reality. So when Swami reads this, behold us as threads of light in the tapestry of your life, threads which through the magnet of soul friendship. So here again, Swamiji is also promising us, soul friendship is a magnet. It's not a stagnant form. It's not like an inert object that finds a place and just stays there. It's a pulsing beam of light. And this is a universe of light and energy. So the pulsing beam of light that is not my emotional need to have you with me, my guilt, my fear, my attachment. No, it's that when I come to a perfect state of rest and become what I really am, which is an instrument of divine light, an expression of divine light. And as we become deeper and more refined in our own attunement with the unique quality of light which we were born to express, which is to say, our spiritual path, our spiritual practices, our spiritual family, our masters. Each ray of grace, of which there are innumerable, has a certain quality to it. And over the course of many incarnations, we are magnetized to sing in that particular choir. It's more than just singing with your voice, it's living the music of that particular choir. And that creates a tremendous amount of magnetism. Again, Swami writes about this in The Path, about spiritual families. that creates a certain amount of magnetism. And we hear that. We hear that through the cosmos. All of us have an experience of at some point finding our spiritual path, finding those teachings, those books, those ideas, depending on your um, uh, depending on the intensity of your own commitment and the clarity of your dedication and the nature of your karma at this particular incarnation, whatever it is, that soul magnet can be very powerful and act very early in your life. Some souls are born into their spiritual families in the three generations of Ananda now. By no means, not all of them, but many of them found the family from the astral world and just came and were born right into their soul choir. But we all find each other. It's very sweet over the course of Ananda to see how many people bring their friends and family onto the path. One member of the cluster will find spiritual life, and then pretty soon their friends and family. Many people at Ananda have someone there that they've known since childhood, and or a sibling or a parent or an uncle. I'm surprised sometimes. There's a woman in Assisi that I interviewed, and her aunt was deeply devoted to Master, and no one in that devotee's immediate family was at all interested, but there was this sort of crazy aunt who just came and found her and brought her to Ananda, and the two of them have had their life there ever since. Just God finds a way because of the magnet of soul friendship. This is not created with the mind. This is created with the totality of our consciousness and is absolutely inescapable. So when we say, what of us who love you and would be remembered by you? We're threads of light in this tapestry. And now think again how a tapestry works. The threads go all the way through. So these soul friendships that are important to us, they will go all the way through until we attain final freedom. And we will appear ever and again, woven with increasing beauty as our hearts expand together in God's love. Where does that beauty come from? That beauty comes because the more purely we become channels for that light, the more the light shines through us. The most wonderful thing about the spiritual path, and it's so interesting. The more transparent we come, the more the light shines through. The more the light shines through, we appear beautiful and attractive to other people. The more attractive we are, the less we are. I'm always so amused when people just want you to take credit. You say, it was lovely, and you say, yes, Divine Mother just had so much fun today. Well, she needed an instrument, people will say. They're just like insisting that you assert responsibility for something that you're not responsible for. It's what makes us beautiful is our ever-increasing love for God, because then God replaces the shadow of our egoic imposition. And that's what makes it beautiful. So then we come to the end of this. Divine Mother, receive thy child. Purify him or her in thy perfect light and love, and grant him or her eternal freedom in thee. I mean, what more can we pray for our friends than that? Receive thy child. Purify him. Help him to let go of all the things that bind him. Purify him. Fill him with so much light and love that no other thought can ever arise, and grant him eternal freedom. Let's just close by reading this from the beginning again. Dear friend, you who have gone before us have entered a realm which our souls remember, a place of freedom, light, and laughter. Take with you on your journey our blessings and our love. We shall miss you. Our desire, though, is not to hold you back, but only to tell you, friend, we are yours. Our love and support are ever yours, and our prayers for your highest happiness. We shall meet again. Once more we shall laugh together, rejoice together, and share in the joy of seeking Him. Claim your soul's freedom. Bless all who ever harmed you or ever wished you harm. Give them your love and your prayers for their freedom in God. Friend, cast from your heart all outward attachments. Realize that earthly goals, however shining, are but dreams. God is the only reality. Burn your earthly desires in the fire of wisdom. Burn earthly limitations in the blaze of inner freedom. Burn earthly disappointments in the flames of spreading peace. Burn earthly joys in the bonfire of divine bliss. See your physical form as a discarded garment. Clothed you now are in garments of radiant light. O free soul, see your past actions as scenes in a vast, unfolding tapestry. Feast not your gaze wistfully on episodes already finished, but look ahead. New adventures await you, fresh, joyous victories as you advance toward perfect freedom. And what of us, friend, who love you and would be remembered by you? Behold us as threads of light in the tapestry of your life, threads which, through the magnet of soul friendship, will appear ever and again, woven with increasing beauty as our hearts expand together in God's love. Divine Mother, receive thy child. Bless them in thy perfect light and love. Give them eternal freedom in thee. Om. Peace. Amen. God bless you, my friends.